Hi everyone. Welcome to our webinar today, Automating and Optimizing with GReminders and Bento Engine. I'm Ziera, the Partner Relationship Manager with GReminders, and with me today is Mark Wellman, the Director of Advice Engagement over at Bento Engine. Today, we're planning to take you through kind of a zoomed out look of both the Bento Engine platform and the GReminders platform. And then Mark's going to discuss the Your Journey tool Bento Engine's kind of come up with and how that can fit GReminders into it. At the end, of course, we'll take some questions, but for now, Mark, please take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Really happy to be here. Thanks everyone who is joining live. If you're watching the recording later, thank you very much for taking the time. I am Mark, Director of Advice Engagement here at Bento. And really, there's just a few things I'd like to talk to you about today. Sort of the power of Bento and GReminders together, how we can really help automate and help you reach that peak operational efficiency together. So I'll start a little bit about Bento Engine, what we're about. I'll show you how it all works, and I'll show you your journey as well. But essentially, Bento is helping client-centric advisors deepen current client relationships and convert more prospects faster by systematically leading with proactive advice during moments that matter. Really, the whole advice engagement philosophy are those next best conversation alerts combined with our pre-approved content equaling right advice at the right time, with the underlying core belief that impactful advice is still best delivered by humans to humans, supported by smart technology. Our overall mission is to bring better advice beyond investing to more American families through you, their caring financial advisor, so that families thrive and advisor practices grow. The way Bento works, similar to GReminders, it's a very simple setup, but a very powerful tool. We connect directly into your CRM via an API connection. Those are the 7 CRMs we're currently directly embedded with. We then scan your book for upcoming advice opportunities. When we discover one of those opportunities, we marry it with content from our proprietary library, then using our sophisticated timing engine, put it back into your CRM in the form of what we call a Bento alert, but into your task or activity list, which means no software to download, no new environment to get used to, no password you have to remember. If you know how to use your CRM, you already know how to use Bento. We also help in a number of different ways, from providing comprehensive advice to helping you sell your entire solution platform, to converting more website visitors into booked meetings using GReminders, helping train on-the-job staff, documented delivery of advice, and automating personalized advice, meeting clients the way they prefer to be met. The way we do this with moments that matter when we're talking about these milestones, 3 key areas that I want to highlight. In the top right are life in numbers. These are 15 regulatory birth dates I'm sure you're all very familiar with along a client's life cycle. From catch-up contributions, Medicare, RMDs, everything in between, you are alerted months ahead of this milestone with the content you need to drive that conversation forward. Then along the bottom are life events. These are ad hoc moments that don't necessarily happen along a timeline, such as getting married or getting divorced, buying or selling a home, moving to Florida, any sort of money in motion opportunity that the client is looking to you for guidance on. And finally, in the top left, for the 82% of parents that are looking for ways to include their kids in the conversation or build a financial education foundation for their kids, we have Children in Wealth. Starting at the tender age of 4, every 2 years until a child turns 18, you are given powerful material that the parents can then share with their kids to include them in that conversation, allowing you to deepen the relationship and give a nod to the client that I'm looking to build multi-generational wealth here. I'm looking at the entire family unit. That's a client for life. Now, I'll quickly hop over into an in-tool demo. Today, we'll use Wealthbox as the example, but we do have those 6 other CRMs. The experience is very similar. So we're in the task list. It's Monday morning. I'm an astute financial advisor. I've just finished my 3rd cup of coffee. Let's go into my CRM. What do I need to do this week? As you can see, there's a number of things here that I've set for myself, have nothing to do with Bento, things I need to action. But as I go down the list, I start seeing Bento alerts, identified by the tag, with the age point, the topic we're about to speak to, and the client as well. If for whatever reason I don't want to advise Field on his QCDs, I can delete this task and move on with my day. But as I'm going down the list, I see Brittany. Brittany's a fantastic client, but we haven't spoken in a couple of months. Here's a perfect targeted reason that has been automatically put into my CRM of how I can reach out to Brittany to open a conversation. So Brittany's about to turn 50 coming up in April 2024. Now I want to start talking about catch-up contributions. Here's who it's most relevant for, direct links and dynamic links to all of that content, which I'll drill down to in a second, best practices to consider. And although we're going to lead with this educational foundation, we're still going to help you build that mental bridge, some monetizable solutions. For example, age 50 is a great time to revisit the financial plan. And if we talk about catch-up contributions, we're naturally going to uncover some IRA rollover opportunities, help prepare you for that conversation. If we head into the links themselves, Brittany is part of the 60% of Americans that are visual learners. So I can click on this PDF and here is client-facing material ready for Brittany. It's all short, 1 to 2 pages long, very colorful with graphs and examples, and it follows a what, why, how philosophy. What's this topic all about? So today we'll talk about catch-up. Why bother, or why should I care as the client? What's the demonstrable economic value my advisor will deliver to me if I action this advice? Then how does it all happen? What are the mechanics? We then provide supporting information. The last time we updated this information, so we will update for any COLA, legislative or regulatory changes within 72 hours, so you always have the most up-to-date information at your fingertips. We then show the underlying US tax code. Here's where this information has come from, deeper reading if the client's interested, and the all-important disclaimer. Heading back into the alert, we can also click on the short email. This is an email template that's ready to go for the client. This is for a client who's always on the go. They say, oh, only send me an email, don't call me. And this is what we can provide. As a Word document, copy paste to whatever compliance rails you prefer to use. You just need to change what's in red, the intro, outro, keep everything in black as standard, attach the PDF, ready for client eyes. If the client would rather hop on the phone or set up a Zoom call, we provide talking points as well. Great ways to introduce the topic, key points you want to hit throughout the conversation, close, next step, wrap up. If you're interested in any short form video, I have a number of users using this as the basis of a script. Here's a 5-minute video on catch-up contributions, ready for your website, ready for socials, on to the next topic. We do provide a PowerPoint that's exactly the same as the PDF, but if the client prefers a more formal presentation or you've set up a deck for them, this is ready for that deck. And then finally, to make sure you always know that you're the expert, you never feel like you're getting over your skis, for a topic you haven't spoken about in a while, for any ongoing training and development for anyone within the office, or for a client that you know is going to ask those in-the-weeds questions, we provide this internal use only advisor FAQ. It's our most technical content, 10 to 15 pages long, still split into the what, the why, the how, and it's a simple FAQ structure. I click on one of the questions, I get a detailed answer, and again, showing the US tax code where all this information has come from. And that's really a Bento alert in a nutshell, coming from the life events and the life in numbers, as well as the children and wealth. But we wanted to go a step further. We wanted to help you grow your business even more, not just with existing clients, but bringing in more prospects. 20/10 recently did a study, and they found that less than 1% of visitors to an advisor website convert to actually book a meeting or reach out to contact you. We wanted to find a way to improve that. So we've introduced Your Journey, an interactive lead gen widget for your website. It teases the visitor with a very deceptively simple question. Where are you on your journey? There's also the thinking that the visitor is on your site for a reason. They didn't just stumble across you looking for the nearest fast food restaurant. They're looking for a financial advisor for a specific reason. So let's tease that out of them. Very low PII that we're asking for. Just enter your year of birth. We're not asking phone numbers, anything like that. So we're finding much higher engagement with this widget. If I say something like 1965 and find my path, then I'm confronted that I've just passed my early retirement withdrawals. I'm coming up to full retirement withdrawals, which is probably the reason why I'm looking for a financial advisor. And then after that, Social Security benefits. These are things at our office that we can help you with. So reach out to contact us now or book a meeting. we can use GReminders in the Contact Us button. So it goes directly to your booking page, and we can find the information that they're looking for, why they want to set this meeting. We're finding, as I mentioned, 20 over 10 saying less than 1% are converting. For users who are using Bento, we are about 3 to 4%. So we are giving you triple or even quadruple the number of leads coming in for your website, driving more of an ROI. If we have any younger users, let's say 1993, in that age band, we might be getting married, having a child, or buying a home. So this is always dynamic, reacting to what the person is putting in there. And that's really how we're going to help out, using your journey as the tip of the spear, GReminders to be able to help book that meeting and remind the client of the upcoming conversation that you have, and then Bento Engine within the CRM after that, driving that. What do you think? How do you see that relationship working?
Yeah, I think this is excellent. I love this, and I love the option of being able to, of course, offer your booking links on, the contact us section of that. Yeah, I think that's going to be really beneficial, especially when we talk about automating our full business processes. I mean, this is from prospecting to then scheduling and then closing that business. It's such a seamless process that you're really not touching the client or the prospect until they're in person meeting with you. And so, yeah, I think that this is just such an excellent tool. At GReminders, we're such big fans of Bento Engine and what you guys are doing. I think we have very similar business model in terms of really trying to create as much seamless automation across the board for financial advisors. I'm sure most fintech softwares are trying to do that, but yeah, definitely values align between Bento Engine and GReminders. Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. And I'll pass the steering wheel back over to you. Would love to learn a little bit more about GReminders.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. That was awesome. So just to kind of jump off, so, how does GReminders really fit into the financial services industry, and where did we start out? So, funnily enough, Mark and I were just recently talking about this before jumping onto the webinar, but in 2018, we saw a niche in the marketplace because Google had stopped offering text reminders. So the G in GReminders was really meant to stand for Google, as in Google Reminders, since we only offered reminders for appointments on the Google Calendar. It did not take long, however, for us to begin offering reminders for appointments on the Outlook calendar as well. And then I think the natural progression for that was online scheduling. From there, it seemed like financial services industry was there was a greater need for automated scheduling with financial advisors. So we started working with Redtail to develop an integration, and then we added Wealthbox, and the response we received really confirmed that this was the industry to focus on and really tailor our product to. So last year, we launched our integrations with, of course, two of the biggest financial services CRMs in the industry, and we've really just tried to expand on those as well as a couple of others. So I'm going to take you through the platform, kind of show you how to set up a meeting type, where to find the CRM integrations, and a few cool features within that. I'll elaborate on and, of course, demo those key features, but to really put it plainly, we're the only automated scheduling system that directly integrates with Redtail and Wealthbox. So that means that we've got this two-way directional sync from your calendar and CRM to GReminders. We have the ability to automate your workflows in both Redtail and Wealthbox without setting up any of that sometimes potentially tricky automation criteria. We write to custom fields in Salesforce, Redtail, and Wealthbox. We work with your existing calendar. So if you're not utilizing Redtail's calendar or Wealthbox's calendar, you do have the ability to work with your Google Calendar or Outlook calendar as well. With GReminders, you're not having to set up Zapier for us to work with your CRM and other integrations. We are adding new contacts to your CRM, and we're updating existing contact information to those contacts already in your CRM. And we're writing reminders back to the contact notes. So we are direct, we're customizable, and we work all within the background of your CRM, very similar to Bento Engine. We're not trying to be a platform that you live out of, because I think advisors are really trying to move away from that. So how do we automate our services as financial advisors without having to live in 46 different products? So we're really trying to be a solution for that. So kind of jumping right in, when you first log into GReminders, this is kind of what you're going to see. It's a hub, if you will, kind of a landing base for all of your events, for all your calendars that you integrate. So when we think about our personal calendars as financial advisors, we typically have a work calendar that, everybody is working off of, everyone kind of has access to. But sometimes we've seen that advisors are putting their personal time on their calendars. We're seeing when they're picking up the kids. We're seeing whenever they've got doctor's appointments. So a solution to this is being able to integrate multiple calendars onto your GReminders platform that we can kind of scrub against and make sure that you're not being double booked anywhere. So all of your events will land that are scheduled through GReminders on your work calendar, but we'll make sure that you're not being double booked on any external calendars that you have. So you would just integrate those here under managed calendars. So for me personally, as Miss Nancy Briggs, I have my Redtail calendar that I work out of for my firm. And then I have my personal Google calendar also integrated to make sure that I'm not being double booked anywhere. So to jump right into scheduling, this is where you're going to find under event types, you'll find to build out a meeting type. Let's kind of touch into perhaps like the onboarding process, and we have an introductory meeting. So when we first jump into here, this first box is all public facing data. So this are my client or my prospect in this case would see an introductory meeting. This could just say anything that you like, intro meeting, what have you, a public description. Sometimes I've seen advisors put here, make sure you bring such and such documents. This is just a little quick description of the meeting when they see that. This is a customizable field for the URL. You can also customize this information here in terms of creating a custom domain. If you're trying to keep consistent branding, that is an option as well. But right in the event type, you can change this to anything: introductory, intro meeting, introduction meeting. We also offer many location types. It's very expansive. So you'll see here I have a few custom variables. That's a little bit more of a niche, very granular look at what GReminders can do. But essentially, the zoomed out version of that is we really want to create just one place that you're changing information. So if your office moves and you are in a new building, instead of going through each individual event type and updating that address for people to be able to have meetings with you, you'll just instead have a variable and just change the variable value. So that way it changes it all the way across your platform. So we also integrate with, of course, things like Zoom, Google Meet, Skype to do web video conferencing, as well as VoIP phone systems like Intulse. So you can always add those meeting options here. And then, of course, a phone number and then a physical address for your client or prospect to choose from. Your calendar can be created, or your event can be created on your Redtail calendar or any calendar you have integrated. Of course, best practice, we would hope that all of your work events would be on your work calendar. So probably just leave that with primary. The event bookings criteria is going to look very similar to all of the other automated scheduling platforms out there. I think that, this is just a general overlook of exactly how you want the event to be scheduled and booked out with. So, how far out can people book? Do you want to require approval? How long is the meeting? Same thing with this dynamic time zone. You can have fixed to yours. Or if I have clients that are in the California time zone, mountain time, this will show them my availability for their time, which has been a very great feature for myself personally when booking. Meeting type and meeting category. So Redtail users, meeting type and category speak to activity type and activity category. Category in Redtail is expansive across the whole CRM. So this is really great for reporting purposes, but these will sync back directly. The dropdowns will populate all of the meeting categories and all of the meeting event types you have in your CRM automatically for you. So you're not having to input those manually. That way we're not kind of doubling up anywhere or fat fingering something. We can set our availability. You can do just a normal custom work or your normal primary working hours, 9 to 5, if everybody just has these perfect schedules, or you can get really granular with when we're offering meetings. You can do time ranges. So maybe we offer 8 to 12 and then our office closes from 12 to 1 and we open back up at 1. So then that next available time range would be, from like 1 to 4:30. Or you can just do specific start times. I've seen advisors do meetings 9, 11, 1, and 3, and those are the only options available. So you can get very granular with this. And then as well as marking off those holidays. So instead of having to block off your whole calendar, put a huge time block on it, instead you can just select this button and we'll automatically make sure that nobody's booking for the 4th of July. Form questions is very expansive. So this is going to be information that you collect from prospects or clients when taking in the meeting. So this kind of works two ways, but for this example and an introductory meeting, let's just speak from a prospect perspective. We maybe don't want to collect as much information as possible and make it, required to answer all of these questions before they even come in to see us. So that's where post-schedule questions comes in. What you'll do is just collect the pertinent contact information to schedule with you. And maybe if you have a few things like, what do you want to talk about? Simple things that maybe they're not worried about having to give you a lots of information on. And then, of course, we can add things like disclosures, terms and conditions. Do they agree to these? You can reorder these fields. So that way it's just a drag and drop and we're moving things around. We're trying to make this as easily accessible and as easy to use as possible. And then when we go to post schedule questions, that means they're already on our calendar. They've gotten the thank you for scheduling with us. Here's the date of your meeting. Will you answer a few of these other questions for us? And maybe this is where we ask, do you have annuities? What kind of things do you want to be talking about? And we kind of give check boxes to go off of, a little bit more personalized information. That's probably where I would put that since it's optional. But all of this data will be collected and written back to the contact. So in Wealthbox, we're mapping these fields. In Redtail, we're copying them back to the UDFs. And then, of course, you can elect to have these fields automatically updated on existing contacts. So if somebody has an address change, particularly I'm speaking to Redtail users here, I know that we love the address change workflow because when somebody changes their address, it changes. We have to change that everywhere in every custodian on every form. It's so arduous. So now if you have that automation set up in Redtail that when that address is changed, it triggers your address change workflow. If you have it here that this will automatically update the address in Redtail, that workflow will kick off automatically for you. The invitee details, this is straightforward. This is just going to be how the event looks on your calendar. And we'll also see that variable name again. So I spoke about those a little bit in the location option of this. These are pre-populated. You'll just select whichever one you'd like to insert into the description. Everywhere you see in a description box in GReminders, you'll also have this drop down for variables. You can also add your own custom variables. So you'll see that here listed as a custom question. So are they a Medicare recipient, veteran status, things like that. You can input those absolutely anywhere that there's an event description, and they just populate like this. So that way, whenever they receive the invitation on their calendar, it'll say John Smith and their phone number. You can collect payments on specific event types. We see things like Stripe or Square kind of integrated here. The thank you page, I spoke about that standard thank you page. Thanks for scheduling with us. Here's the time and date and who you're going to be meeting with. Or you can custom redirect them back to your website. Anywhere that there's a URL source, you can redirect them to that. So for introductory appointments, for instance, typically we see people redirecting to, watch a video about our company. Here's what to expect. Here's what we'd like you to bring to that first appointment. And then this is where we're going to very easily kick off those workflows. So this is an introductory meeting. So of course, I would like to launch my introductory meeting workflow. But let's say you have multiple workflows for one meeting. You can do that. You can add as many workflows as you'd like. And it's going to link to those roles, teams, users, etc. across the board in your Wealthbox templates or your Redtail templates, however you have that mapped out. From here, you can schedule. So you can schedule straight through this as, in our office or schedule directly on your Redtail Wealthbox CRM calendar. So you're not having to live out of the platform. This is just what your clients would see whenever they receive the booking link. To jump back over, we'll talk about client reminders a little bit. They're a lot more straightforward and not so expansive. But we do have quite a few options. So of course, a typical appointment reminder, hey, you've got an appointment coming up, however many times before the meeting. A follow-up post-meeting, these are really great. They're automatically sent out that say, thanks so much for meeting with me. Here's a couple of documents I need you to sign, etc. The initial booking notification, of course, those are always great. I also use those on the personal reminder side. I love getting a text to my phone the second somebody schedules on my calendar. And personal reminders, you have all of these options as well to be notified. So advisors can stay very much on top of their calendars, or as we all know, their assistants can stay very on top of their calendars. We have reschedule notifications and cancellation notifications. So these are really great from the back end because if you're in your Redtail calendar or Google or Outlook, you can just move the appointment on the actual calendar, and then that reschedule notification will automatically get sent to the contact. Hey, your meeting's been rescheduled to this and this time. Same thing with cancellation. If you're canceling a meeting on your calendar, these will automatically be sent out. So you can set specific criteria for these. Maybe for only introductory appointments, you're building, this kind of reminder, this initial booking, because down here is where you can get really granular. So maybe for those introductory meetings, the initial booking will look something like, here's what to expect at the meeting. This is what our agenda will look like. Here's what I need you to bring. You can build all of this out in here just by typing it in. Or again, we see those custom variables. And in here, it's even more expansive than we saw before. So you can input those reschedule links, the cancellation links, Zoom links, adding it to your calendar. There's a lot that you can put in here. And then, of course, you can notify them email, text, or automated phone call. You can set auto replies because I think something here as financial advisors, we want to automate, but we don't want to lose personability. Like we don't want this to just sound like they're talking to a computer because nobody loves that. So instead, you can say something in your message here, reply yes to confirm, and then list out in here, great, thanks. I really look forward to meeting with you. Can't wait to talk to you about insert something here. And if they say no, okay, no worries. Here's a link to reschedule. And you can very quickly insert that reschedule link into the description box. So then you would just create that reminder. It's listed here and you're ready to go. So I spoke a little bit about mapping fields back and forth between GReminders and your CRM. So just in WealthBox, I'll show you really quickly. This looks the same as in Redtail. You'll scroll down to the bottom of your WealthBox integration, Redtail, your CRM integration, and you'll see a box here for mapping fields. So whenever I talk about updating the address, maybe if I want to collect information about Medicare recipient status, veteran status, things like that I want mapped back to the contact, you can do that here. So you'll have the WealthBox custom field name will automatically populate. These are all my current custom field forms in WealthBox, and you'll just make those match. You'll create them in GReminders as well to match and then talk to each other. So if on my form questions, I have something that says, what's your veteran status? Active duty, retired, non-retired, veteran. You could collect all of that information and then plug it into the custom fields in WealthBox or the UDFs in Redtail. So this gets really expansive, especially in terms of what we can map to and how we map to it. You can override existing data, or you can just update if it's blank in the system. And then, of course, just across the board, no, you don't want to update anything. So we try to make it as easy and straightforward as possible, but there are going to be some things that do take time to build out. I think the initial build out, we'd like for you to spend about an hour just really building out your organization scheduling and how you want everything to fit. And obviously those the meeting criteria and making sure that that works best for everybody in the office. But then we really don't want you to live in that ever again. We don't really want you to touch into it unless you're offering new meeting types or taking away some. So yeah, we try to be as expansive as possible. Let's see. So kind of with that, Mark, if you're ready for some questions, I think I've seen a few pop in.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this one's for you, Mark. How long does it take to integrate Bento?
Oh, fantastic question. So for our Redtail and WealthBox users, it takes less than 10 minutes to integrate Bento into your CRM. A lot of people might tell me, and I'm sure you've heard the same, oh, a lot of tech says it's really easy to integrate. Bring a stopwatch. It's less than 10 minutes, and I guarantee you that. For our users who are on Salesforce, Accelerate, Practify, or Microsoft Dynamics, it's about 30 to 45 minutes, a little bit more in depth, but we are with you every step of the way to walk you through it. The rest of it is on Bento. We do the bulk of the integration. So what you can expect from the time you start that integration call to the time you receive your first alerts, generally within about 3 to 5 business days.
That's excellent. That's really fast. That's a really fast turnaround time. Okay, let's see. How is Bento different than something like FP Pathfinder or F&G Suite?
Also, a fantastic question. Both FMG Suite and FP Pathfinder are great. They're fantastic. I'm not here to say anything negative about them. They do provide content. They provide ways, and FP Pathfinder, for example, very well known for their checklists. We see them a little bit more as wider marketing, or maybe something in the terms of FP Pathfinder. It's a content library, similar to, if we put this in real world terms, getting up from your desk, going to the filing cabinet, finding something, and then bringing it back to the client. Bento is more of that active assistant who is tapping you on the shoulder to say, here's something coming up and here's the content for you that you need. Not something that is happening in the wider marketplace, but something specifically happening to this person. So I have a number of users who are using both, whether that be a Bento FMG or a Bento FP Pathfinder, for completely different uses. But definitely there is an area for both.
I didn't know all of that. That's really good to know. Okay, last one here. How does compliance work for both Bento Engine and GReminders? Mark, go ahead and I'll follow.
Sure. So we do compliance on a office-based level. So we would give you access to our full content library, put it through compliance to make sure it passes your smell test. I will let you know that we have passed over 100 compliance reviews to date, from our smaller advisors just getting started out of their home office to our national RIA partners, including some IBDs and regional banks. We've passed every single piece of compliance. We're not guaranteeing any rate of return. We're not recommending one product over another, and we're always showing our work and showing exactly where this comes from. But we will work with you on the compliance side to make sure it's approved. And generally, if you are working with, let's say, an IBD, chances are we might already have pre-approval. So reach out to me directly and we can talk about a specific situation.
Awesome. Yeah, very similarly, with GReminders, we offer a compliance digest weekly. So typically this looks like, if you have email archiving, that kind of thing, this digest gets automatically emailed to that whatever email is designated. And that's going to be for all correspondence leaving our platform. So those are for the reminders, who it's to, the content body of the message, all those things that are kind of getting written back to the contact card already. So that way we have, like a complete historical timeline on all correspondence that's been sent out throughout the week. So I think it's every Friday. But similarly with BDs, we're approved by a few. So definitely reach out to me and we can talk a little bit more about those and if we're approved through your BD. But with that, Mark, I think that really sums it up. I do want to plug a couple of URLs here to learn a little bit more about how-tos and our integrations and what GReminders is. We have a really great blog on our website, greminders.com/articles, where you can find all kinds of resources in setting up your platform, just getting a little more granular with what we do. And then, of course, to view older webinars, sign up for new ones, you can go to greminders.com/events. Mark gave me a similar link for Bento Engine, bentoengine.com/webinars, so you can watch some on demand. And then same thing with those resources with Bento Engine, bentoengine.com/downloads.
Excellent.
Okay, so kind of the call to action. What's next? Of course, I want to plug the discount codes. So for all of the webinar attendees today, you'll receive 10% off of GReminders by following greminders.com/a/Bento Engine. And then, of course, for 10% off of the Bento Engine platform, you can use GReminders 10 as well.
Exactly. Just go to bentoengine.com. You can actually click on install now, get started right away. Just enter in that GReminders 10 for your 10% off discount.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. This has been such a great webinar. I really appreciate you jumping on with me. Again, we love Bento Engine so much, and everything that you guys are doing is so innovative. It's so exciting, and I really can't wait to see kind of where we fit in and where we go with the Your Journey tool kind of looking into 2024.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. And same, when we first met and we started talking about what we have and how we can work together, I think it was one of the most seamless conversations I've ever had. These two really do work together. So really looking forward to growing this partnership, working with advisors and doing what we can to make them as efficient as possible.
Absolutely. Totally ditto. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks.